For a long time, I thought I spent a lot of time alone. If someone had asked me, I probably would have said I enjoyed my own company. I liked quiet cafes, long walks, sitting at my desk with a notebook open in front of me. From the outside, it probably looked like I spent plenty of time by myself. But looking back, I don't think I was ever really alone. There was almost always something between me and my own thoughts. Music, a podcast, a video playing while I cooked, a notification waiting to be checked. Even on walks, I would reach for my earphones before I reached the end of the street. It happened so automatically that I stopped noticing I was doing it. Silence had become something I filled as quickly as possible. Not because I disliked it, because I had forgotten what it was for. I don't know exactly when that happened. Maybe it happened so slowly that there was never a moment worth remembering. One song became another. One short video became 20 minutes. One quick look at my phone became an evening that disappeared before I realized it had even started. None of those things were bad on their own. I still enjoy music. I still enjoy movies. I still enjoy listening to people who have something thoughtful to say. This isn't one of those stories where I pretend technology ruined my life. It didn't. But I started wondering whether I had quietly lost something without noticing it. Not time, something smaller. The small spaces between things. The few minutes waiting for water to boil. The walk to the grocery store. Sitting on the bench before heading home. Standing by the window while it rained. Those moments used to belong to nobody. Now they belonged to my phone. And once I noticed that, I couldn't stop noticing it. It felt strange. Not dramatic, just strange. Almost as if I had been living beside my own thoughts instead of with them. I remember one evening sitting at my desk after finishing some work. The room was completely quiet. My first instinct wasn't to stay there, it was to reach for my phone. There wasn't anything I needed to see, no message I was expecting, no urgency, just movement. As though my mind had quietly learned that every empty moment needed to be occupied. That evening, I didn't pick it up. Not because I was trying to prove anything. I just wanted to know what would happen if I didn't. Nothing happened. At least, not immediately. The room stayed quiet. The clock kept ticking. Cars passed outside the window. And for the first minute or two, I felt surprisingly uncomfortable. Not bored, restless. As though I had interrupted a habit that had been running in the background for years. I realized something then. Silence hadn't become difficult. Stillness had. And I don't think I had ever noticed the difference before. I expected silence to feel peaceful. That's the image we usually have of it. A quiet room, a cup of tea, rain outside, some kind of calm. Instead, The first thing I found wasn't peace, it was noise. Not outside, inside. Thoughts I had been postponing, questions I kept answering with later, small disappointments I had never really admitted to myself, ideas I had been meaning to write down, conversations I should have had, things I said I wanted to do but somehow kept postponing. None of those thoughts were new. They had probably been there for weeks, maybe months. I just hadn't left enough room to hear them. That surprised me. I had spent years believing that thinking happened when I sat down and tried really hard to think. But that's really how it worked. The clearest thoughts didn't arrive when I chased them. They arrived when I finally stopped drowning them out. Sometimes while making tea, sometimes while washing dishes, sometimes halfway through a walk, sometimes sitting quietly at my desk with absolutely nothing planned. It reminded me of something I used to notice as a child. The moment after a heavy rain, everything looked exactly the same. The trees hadn't moved, the road was still the road, but somehow everything felt clearer. The rain hadn't created the landscape, it had simply washed the dust away. Silence began to feel a little like that. It didn't create better thoughts, it simply removed enough noise for the thoughts that were already there to become visible. Some of them were uncomfortable. Some made me realize I wasn't spending time on the things I kept telling myself mattered. Others reminded me of conversations I had been avoiding, because avoiding them was easier than having them. Silence can be surprisingly honest, not cruel, just honest. And honesty often arrives before peace does. I think that's why it's so easy to avoid. Not because we hate silence, because silence has a habit of introducing us to ourselves. There's a sentence I came across when I was reading Advaita Vedant, or rather reading about it. There was a sentence that many of humanity's problems come from our inability to sit quietly alone in a room. I don't know if that's completely true, but I understood the direction that was pointing in. Maybe the room isn't uncomfortable because it's empty. Maybe it's uncomfortable because for the first time all day, nothing is standing between us and our own thoughts. And perhaps that's exactly why those quiet moments matter. Because every meaningful conversation I have had with another person began with something I had first admitted to myself. Silence didn't solve my problems. It simply stopped showing me to hide from them quite so easily. One thing I have started noticing over the last few years is that the most important conversations in my life rarely happen with another person. They happen quietly, usually when nobody is watching, sometimes while making tea, sometimes walking home after a sunset, sometimes halfway through writing a page in this notebook. It's strange because from the outside, nothing seems to be happening. I'm just walking, or washing a cup, or sitting at a desk. But inside, entire conversations are unfolding. Not arguments, not rehearsed speeches, just questions. Why did that bother me so much? Do I actually want this? Or have I simply been moving in the same direction for so long that I have stopped questioning it? What kind of person am I becoming if I keep living like this? Those questions don't always arrive with answers. Sometimes they leave me more uncertain than before. But I have stopped seeing uncertainty as a problem. It usually means I'm finally asking a real question. For a long time, I thought clarity came from finding better advice, reading another book, watching another video, listening to someone wiser than me, and those things have their place. I have learned a lot from them, but I have slowly realized something. No book can answer a question I haven't been honest enough to ask myself. That part has to happen first. The books help afterwards, not before. There's a difference between collecting ideas and recognizing yourself inside one. The second one changes you. The first one just fills another notebook. I think that's why I still write things down by hand. Not because handwriting is magical, not because notebooks are better than phones, simply because writing slows me down enough that I can't rush past what I'm actually thinking. Typing lets me move as fast as my fingers can. Writing forces me to move as fast as my thoughts. And that's usually a much more honest speed. Something else has changed. I don't feel the same urgency to solve every question immediately. I used to. If something confused me, I would search for an answer within minutes. If I didn't understand an idea, I would keep reading until I found someone who explained it. I thought every question deserved a quick answer. Now, I'm not so sure. Some questions seem to improve simply by staying with you, like walking beside someone instead of trying to carry them. There are thoughts I have been returning to for months. Sometimes they appear while traveling, sometimes while cooking, sometimes just late at night. Each time they seem slightly different, not because the question changed, because I did. I have started thinking that maybe wisdom isn't collecting the right answers. Maybe it's becoming the kind of person who can live with the right questions. There's something peaceful about that. Not having everything figured out, not rushing to conclusions, just allowing an idea to become part of your life before deciding what it means. I don't think every page in this notebook needs an ending. Some pages simply record where I am today. When I come back months later, I often realize I have answered the question without noticing. Life answered it while I was busy living, not while I was searching. I still enjoy listening to thoughtful people. I still read. I still watch documentaries. I still borrow ideas from people who spend far longer thinking about these things than I have. But I have become a little more protective of silence. Not because silence always feels good. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it brings question I'd rather avoid. Sometimes it reminds me that I'm spending time on things that don't matter nearly as much as I pretend they do. But that's exactly why I keep returning to it. Because every meaningful change I have made in my life started with something quiet. Not a motivational speech, not a dramatic breakthrough, just a small moment where I finally admitted something to myself. I have realized that's probably what this notebook is becoming. Not a collection of answers, a record of conversations, most of them happening quietly, most of them unfinished. Maybe they will stay unfinished. I'm okay with that because I have stopped trying to win every conversation. I'm just trying to hear it. Maybe the most important conversation I will ever have will never happen out loud.